Governors, let's go on a think about that many will find very useful. Artificial intelligence in post-divorce parenting communication. Now, before anyone gets carried away, this is not a substitute for legal counsel. Let me say that again. AI is not your lawyer. It is not licensed to practice law any more than I am. It doesn't know your judge. It doesn't carry your risk. But it might stop you from acting foolishly like someone that doesn't have a lawyer. Here's the problem. When parents separate, those emotions, they don't disappear. Memories aren't tempered. They get repurposed. Every message becomes an opportunity to take a shot, regain control, visit an old argument, particularly for the narcissist. And that's a disaster. Because while your communication is emotional, it is judged in a legal framework. Courts don't care how you felt when you hit send. They care about what the agreement says, what actually matters, and whether you escalated or stabilized the situation. Most people fail right there. Not because they're unintelligent, but because the reasoning isn't intuitive. Law schools don't teach students how to memorize statutes. They teach them how to think. It teaches legal reasoning. Issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. IRAC. It's structured, it's constrained, it ignores your feelings, which is why most people don't use it. Instead, they begin to argue outside the agreement. They rely on one random case they found online. They escalate minor issues into dramatic battles. You've seen it. You may have done it. This is where AI becomes useful. It's not a decision maker. It's a navigator, suggesting you pump those brakes as you approach the icy road in the dark, music blaring, with your children screaming in the back seat. A regulator of your worst instincts. Here's what it does when used properly. It strips emotions out of your messages. It forces you back into the agreement and asks quietly, is this even worth raising? And that question alone would eliminate much of the conflict in co-parenting. It provides critical reasoning during an emotional eclipse. Let me give you a real-world example. You've got a parenting agreement. It says mental health care decisions for the child can be made unilaterally. This isn't unusual. Following a divorce, it's often necessary. One person schedules therapy. The other parent doesn't like that. Here's the emotional response. You had no right to do this. You need to consult with me first. I'm going to take you to court. It feels good, doesn't it? It's also wrong. Completely wrong. And it will fail. Now let's run that same situation through artificial intelligence. And you get this. I've reviewed the parenting agreement and understand that mental health decisions may be provided unilaterally. Please provide the provider's information so I can remain informed. I'll address any concerns through the appropriate channels if necessary. Same facts, different reasoning, completely different outcome. One message escalates unnecessarily and foolishly. The other one documents, complies, and preserves your credibility. That's governance. Now, another major benefit. The Google case problem. You might know this one. You find a case online and it sounds close enough. And suddenly, oh yeah, we'll take that. Except, it's not binding. It's not even applicable. Not even close. AI can slow that down. It forces the question, is this actually on point? Often, it's not. And that pause, that hesitation, that's where bad decisions go to die. Over time, something interesting happens. You start writing differently, shorter, cleaner, more focused. You stop reacting and you start responding. You don't need the tool as much because you've learned the pattern. Now let's be clear about that boundary. AI cannot generally tell you what or how to win in court. Litigation is complicated and it cannot replace counsel. And if you use it to justify a bad position, it will happily help you sound articulate and wrong. Downright stupid. Lawyers, judges, bailiffs, clerks, they've all heard it. Heads start to shake. Oh boy, here we go again. So use it properly. Ask neutral questions. Invite correction. Refuse validation. AI tends to do that if it incomplete information. there's a major difference in asking, can my ex make a medical decision alone for our child? And can my ex make a mental health decision alone for our child? Because this is the real value. AI may not make you smarter, but it can make you harder to bait. And in co-parenting, that might be the difference between constant conflict, avoidable drama, and actual stability. Governors, AI won't win your case, but it will stop you from losing it before it starts. Govern your shit.